Asterisk the drums that summoned the dead asterisk. Asterisk they were not war drums. Every child of K'Ari knew the difference. War drums called men to sharpen blades and tighten charms. Festival drums called the spirits to dance among the living. But the drums kept beneath the red earth of the old shrine had no name that could be spoken aloud. They were called only asterisk, the ones that must sleep asterisk. When the enemy crossed the savannah at the height of the dry season-earned helmets, flashing like the eyes of locusts, K'Ari had already lost too many sons. The river shrank, the fields cracked. The ancestors were silent. That was when old Kand spoke. Kand was the last living drummer of the inner grove. His back bent like a question mark, his eyes filmed white with age. He had sworn never to touch the forbidden rhythm, not after what happened in his youth, not after the night the dead answered. But war eats promises. They will burn the shrine, the chief said, voice shaking. They will scatter our bones. Kand felt the ground listening beneath his feet. If I play, he whispered, they will come. Let them, the chief replied. Living or dead we need warriors. That night, they dug. The drums were wrapped in antelope skin blackened with old blood, their wood carved with spirals that hurt the eyes if stared at too long. When Kand touched them, his fingers tingled as if insects crawled beneath his skin. The air grew cold, though the moon burned white overhead. Women and children were sent to the far huts. Only warriors remained, silent, afraid. Watching the old man sit before the drums like a judge before execution, Kand breathed in dust and memory. The first strike was soft, the second struck deeper. By the third, the earth answered. The rhythm was wrong not meant for human hands. It bent time, folded sound back on itself. The drums did not echo. They swallowed noise. The ground began to pulse. The fire dimmed, then burned blue. From the edge of the grove came footsteps without but shadows thickened, pulling themselves upright. Figures rose from the soil, whole at first, then horribly incomplete men with heart faces. Women with ribs like open doors, warriors carrying spears fused to their arms by rot and rust. Their eyes glowed with the pale light of memory. The ancestors had come. They did not speak. They stared. A young warrior fell to his knees. "Grandfather," he whispered. The dead man's mouth opened and soil poured out. The drums played on. At dawn, the enemy attacked. They charged screaming, but their cries faltered when they saw the field. The dead stood in ranks before K'Ari, unmoving, countless. When the first spear struck a corpse, the ancestor did not fall. He stepped forward, reaching with hands colder than night. Steel passed through a bone that refused to break. The enemy fled. Some were dragged screaming into the ground. Others ran until their hearts burst. By midday, the savannah was quiet again. Victory tasted like ash. The ancestors did not return to the earth. They wandered the village paths. They stood beside cooking fires. They watched children sleep. Crops withered where they walked. Dogs howled until they strangled themselves on their chains. The dead were not angry. They were hungry. Each night, someone failed to wake. No wounds marked the Buddha's only hollow eyes, as if something precious had been scooped out. Kand tried to stop playing. The drums beat anyway. His hands moved, even when bound. His fingers bled, then healed, then bled again. He felt his memories slipping, each beat pulling him closer to the grove beneath the earth. "Send them back," the chief begged. Kand shook his head. "They came because they were called. They will leave when they are satisfied." "With what?" the chief whispered. Kand looked at the children. On the seventh night, Kand changed the rhythm. The drums screamed. The ancestors turned toward him as one. Their mouths opened, and this time they spoke not in words, but in grief, so old it cracked the sky. The ground split. Wind howled upward from the earth's throat. One by one, the dead sank back into the soil. The drums went silent. Kand collapsed, smiling, finally free. At sunrise, the village counted its losses. The enemy was gone. So were the elders. So was Kand. In the grove, the drums lay buried once more. But sometimes, When war drums sound too close to the forbidden rhythm, the ground beneath Kr shivers, and the ancestors listen.